If you're watching this, that means we have finished Attack on Titan. and it was a it was a ride. It was a ride. Emotions got high. Things were yelled. Cusses were cussed. But I felt like you know, I'm blown away. I ain't gonna lie to you. Round of applause for Attack on Titan, man. I ain't gonna. Oh my gosh. But somehow, some way, I'm still kind of confused. And I told you guys that I was gonna watch some videos to explain it a little bit more because that was a lot. There was a lot of episodes, and I still got some questions, and I still got some opinions too. Okay. Oh, and also, I want to check out the other OVA videos or the OVA episodes too. And I believe there's like some other stuff involving AOT, but still, um, we are here today to get the entire timeline down, or at least comprise it into what 15 minutes, so I could actually like get a grip on what's going on. Because I after watching, I was like all over the internet trying to figure out what the honestly, if you would like to watch it with me, it's on my Patreon, and I'm telling you, it's a ride, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I don't believe it's Aaron's fault. I'm gonna just keep it P with you. I don't. I blame the founder. Obviously, I can't blame that. What's that shit called? What's that snake thing called? I can't blame that thing because it's not a thing. Well, it is a thing. It's not a person. It's a thing. I don't know. I guess I'm still confused. Anyway, let's let's go. Let's go ride this roller coaster again. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the host of this show are for authentic, honest, and entertaining purposes. Unless you don't think I'm entertaining. I repeat, this is my opinion. I am not telling you how to find and have this video is brought to you by Sebastine. Does this really seem like the time to have this comedic ass like what? Bro, it is too late. You're saying this to Armin. You could have said this to me. So you mean to tell me that this shit is just a fucking telltale game that no matter whatever you pick, the same shit's gonna happen? I'd like to see it as enjoy the time with your friends. So if like he's tried this shit multiple times, does that mean the same people who come back are just different versions of themselves? And like knowing the truth is just it's best to not know the truth. Like at this point, I don't even know what to say. I don't. Okay, so this shit is just these two motherfuckers are just trying to take responsibility for literally something that was already predestined to happen. Oh fuck no. Oh fuck no.
This is the complete timeline of Attack on Titan. Let's start with the very first moment in which the very first life on Earth was created, the hallucigenia. This worm in the story is the source of all living matter.
Yeah, the hallucigenia is all living matter. It's the source of all living matter. So what the hell does that even mean? That thing is everything. So again, I don't know. Hold on.
Skip forward a few thousand or million years and we get to the time of the rise of Eldia. The Eldians were very powerful and quickly became one of the strongest nations in the world. One of the places that they eventually end up conquering was a small village at the time named Marley. This is where we are first introduced to the founder, Ymir Fritz. When the Eldians conquered Marley, they enslaved.
Do you know what's actually crazy? If Ymir Fritz was a Marleyan, wait a minute. If she was, wait.
Most, if not all, the people who were already living there, conducting horrible acts towards them, including cutting out their tongues so they were unable to speak. What?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that is really fucking crazy. But hold on, if Ymir Fritz is a Marleyan, wouldn't that make? But that don't make that don't make her an Eldian though. Or is it because she was King Fritz's the woman? Like, wait, I don't. Or was she not a Marleyan? And she became an Eldian? Hold on, wait, that don't make no damn sense.
One day, Ymir saw a pig trapped in a pen and decided to let it escape. Later on, the leader of Eldia at the time, King Fritz, found out about this and ordered the slave who let it escape to confess.
Right.
Everyone instantly rats on Ymir, and the king tells her that she is now free.
You know, I ain't gonna lie to you. What if everybody ratting on her is the reason why she carried out this plan? Like, I believe it. I'm not gonna lie. I believe it was Ymir's plan. This was Ymir's plan. Well, who's to say if that wasn't the moment where she decided to cause the rumbling, or this fucking what is this time loop shit?
By free, he meant they were going to chase her down and kill her, essentially. As Ymir was running for her life, she gets shot by an arrow. In a desperate search for cover, she stumbles across a giant tree with an opening at the very base. Naturally, she goes inside in hopes to escape her pursuers. And after a while, she falls down into a massive underwater cave within the tree. This is where she first comes into contact with the source of all living matter that we discussed earlier. Ymir wished for a strong, immortal body, and she was granted that power by the hallucigenia. This was the very point in which the very first Titan was created.
So the thing is, I'm still going off of, or actually no, we're gonna start off with when we start speaking about Eren, because if this was a loop that always happened, so is that thing like not a parasite? Like, it's not a parasite because it's the source of all living matter. I promise I'm not this stupid, bro.
After this, Ymir returns to Eldia and agrees to serve the king as his personal servant. For many years, Ymir continued to serve him, crushing nations, building infrastructure, and eventually coming to bear his children. Their names were Sina, Rose, and Maria, which later in the show is what the walls are named after. At one point during what looks like some sort of conference, an assassin attempts to kill King Fritz by throwing a large spear towards him. However, Ymir jumps in front of the spear and saves the king's life.
But why did she do that? Why did she do that, though? Does this have like some type of wait, does this have some type of tie to Mikasa and Eren? Wait, because she did like vow to serve him, but does that mean jumping in front of him to save his life?
As someone with the power of the Titans, Ymir should have been able to heal and survive the injury. However, she no longer had the will to live, which meant that she passed away. In fear of losing the power of the Titans, King Fritz forced their daughters to eat Ymir in hopes of transferring the power to them. It was at this point where Ymir arrives in the paths.
So this nigga didn't even know that was gonna happen. He just did that just to be like, oh, dude, hey, eat her. Y'all might get her power. Like, what?
She sees a glowing tree-like construct with 3 large branches. These branches representing the fact that Ymir's power had now been passed down and was now residing within her 3 daughters, each of which was granted 3 of the 9 Titans. Also, since Ymir died 13 years after she gained her powers, everyone who inherits this power is now inflicted by the curse of Ymir, meaning that once they have had the power for 13 years, they will also perish. When their daughters eventually died, the same ritual was carried out on them, and it became an endless cycle. The Eldians used the 9 Titans and continued to destroy other nations, and forced those people to bear children with the blood of Ymir.
Oh shit, I thought that was Marley propaganda. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Eventually, each of the 9 Titans, bar the founding Titan, were given to other noble families outside of the royal family. Many generations down the road, and the founding Titan lands in the hands of a man named Karl Fritz, who is ashamed of his bloodline's actions and believes that the Eldians should not be forgiven. This conflict of
what? That's not, bro. That is not fair at all. Off of, nigga. What? This was a different King Fritz. If that's so, like, why do you get to say that Eldian shouldn't be forgiven? First of all, I still can't even wrap my head around how Ymir is not a Marleyan. By birth, she's a Marleyan, and she wasn't the king's wife, right? So that would mean she would be an honorary Eldian, right? So if that's the case, if she's from Marley, that makes her a Marleyan. If the thing that is talked about that about no switch of names or something like that, then that would make the subjects of Ymir Marleyans.
interest between Karl Fritz and the other noble families caused the Great Titan War. At the end of the war, the Fritz family and the Tiber family reach an agreement. Karl Fritz will flee to a small island known as Paradis with the founding Titan and a whole bunch of Eldian people. When Karl Fritz arrived on the island, he erected 3 giant walls made of colossal titans. He then announces to the outside world that if provoked, he will unleash the millions of colossal titans within the walls and destroy the earth. However,
I wonder how he even got that. Was it like by pigeon? I forgot how they did mail. Oh, horse. Yeah, horse.
As we know, this was just a bluff to protect the peace on the island, as he later created the vow-renouncing war, which meant that only someone with royal blood could access the founding titan's power, and anyone who had royal blood couldn't use the power for war. A family known as the Ackerman clan is created in order to become the strongest warriors on the island so that any titans that attack can be defeated. The Fritz name is changed to Reese in an attempt to hide the identity of the true royal family and protect the founding titan.
Oh, I didn't know that. I must have missed that. Oh, I didn't know they changed the name.
And a false Fritz group is introduced to reign over the walls publicly.
Okay.
Skip forward some time and the Eldian Restorationist group is created. These people grabbed a random girl off the street, named her after the founder Ymir, and had her lead the party. However, later they would be discovered by Marley and punished by being sent to Paradis and turned into pure titans.
This is why I had to watch this. I'm learning new stuff because I still didn't know. Like I remember when I was watching, I kept like referring to Ymir as like the founder Ymir, and I don't think I ever really asked the question why they got the same name. So pretty much they just damn. Okay.
21 years later, our goat Grisha is born. What?
Who's goat? Who's goat? That's our goat? I mean, he was a shitty dad and a shitty brother. Shit.
One day, Grisha decides to take his sister and leave the Eldian internment zone in Marley. Due to the fact that Marleyans absolutely despise Eldians, doing this was a complete no-go and was punishable by either a beating or labor if you were caught outside the zone. Naturally, Grisha gets caught by 2 Marleyan officers, Aaron Kruger and his partner. Grisha chooses the...
Huh? Excuse me? Aaron Kruger? So when did Aaron steal the Kruger name?
Complete no-go and was punishable by either a beating or...
Yeah, I was about to say, that's not Aaron. Okay.
Or labor if you were caught outside the zone. Naturally, Grisha gets caught by 2 Marleyan officers, Aaron Kruger and his partner. Grisha chooses the beating and also asks to take his sister's beating too so that she doesn't have to shoulder any responsibility for his mistake. Kruger's partner then leaves with Grisha's sister, saying that he's going to take her back to the zone, but instead he has her eaten by dogs.
Oh my
When Grisha
gosh.
finally arrives back home, he finds out about his sister's death, and rightfully so, he was absolutely raging.
I'd like to say those like death stares that they do or have are fucking crazy. Like Yelena's death stare, Mikasa's death stare to Bernie Sanders. I really hate saying that dude's name. Budweiser, fuck it.
Grisha grows up and joins the Eldian Restorationists, where he meets his first wife, Dinah Fritz, a descendant of the royal family.
And also, when I found out about what Dinah did, or what Dinah was sent to do, hey.
After a while, Grisha and Dinah had a child together. This child was called Zeke. As soon as Zeke was able to begin to think for himself, he got stuck between his parents pushing their beliefs onto him and his grandparents pushing Marleyan propaganda onto him. While all this was happening, Erwin Smith was being raised over on Paradis by his father. Erwin's father had a theory that the royal family had wiped the memories of the people in the walls and are now promoting a false story. Of course, Erwin as a kid was fascinated by his dad's theory and spread it around to the other kids that he went to school with. One time, a couple military police soldiers heard this story. They then capture Erwin's father and torture him to the death in order to find out what he knew. Frida Reese is born, and Uri Reese inherits the founding titan from his dad. Kenny Ackerman then attempts to assassinate Uri because of how the Fritz family treated the Ackerman family as a result of them being unable to alter their memories. His attempt fails, and instead he finds a new respect for Uri and devotes himself to him with a secret objective of getting his hands on the founding titan's power. Around the globe, many nations' anti-titan weapons were developing extremely fast. Realizing this, Marley establishes a plan in order to retake the founding titan from Paradis. They begin training up the warrior unit to inherit one of their titans. When Grisha finds out about this, he begins forcing Zeke to train to inherit one of these titans. However, Zeke underperforms in almost every aspect of the training. He would then go on to meet Tom Xaver, the current Beast Titan, who quickly became his mentor. Zeke overhears Marley and officers talking about how they're closing in on the Eldian restorationists and tries to convince his parents to stop doing what they're doing.
Bro, that shit right there was kind of crazy though.
Refuse. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, Zeke decides to rat out his parents in order to protect himself
But I thought
and his grandparents.
I thought Grisha told Zeke to do whatever the Marlians tell him to do. So that was why he did that. But it was to protect himself. So it was to protect himself. Why? Because Grisha was like a shitty dad and didn't like play with him.
Grisha and the other restorationists get sent off to Paradis to be turned into pure titans. Dinah becomes the smiling titan, and just before Grisha was meant to be pushed off, he's saved by Eren Kruger, who then transforms into the attack titan and kills the remaining Marleyans on the island.
I need to know, how did Eren find out about that name? If we're going off the fact that that Eren knew everything. So that means that when he did like that on your feet, dad type thing, was he also the owl? Like, I'm so, like, what the fuck?
He then passes his titan on to Grisha and tells him that he must retake the founding titan within the walls. Grisha wakes up dazed outside the walls. He is then taken to prison, but since he couldn't remember anything about himself, the guards felt bad and let him free. When speaking to Keith Shadis, Grisha...
That shit don't make no damn sense. They felt bad and just set him free. Because he just didn't know. He didn't know nothing.
Remembers that he was a doctor and said that if he were to be put into a hospital, he could definitely help out. Grisha would then go on to save Shiganshina from a huge epidemic and gain respect among all of the people. This was also how he became very close to Carla, who he'd later on marry and have a child with. That child was called Eren. Some time passes and Zeke eventually inherits the...
Oh, I'm stupid. Did he name him Eren after Damn, I'm sorry. I'm really like, everything is flashing back right now. Did he name him Eren after Eren Kruger? Or the Owl? What's his name? His name was the Owl.
The Beast Titan from Tom Xaver back in Marley. A few more years later, Reiner, Berthold, Annie, Marcel, and Peak would then inherit their respective titans. While this was going on, Eren meets Mikasa for the very first time. He saves her from 3 kidnappers who planned to sell her on to people in the underground. This was also the point where Mikasa's Ackerman powers awakened. With no family left, the Jaegers adopted Mikasa and gave her a place to stay. Also, roughly around this time, Levi would have joined the scouts. Eren then wakes up from a strange dream and begins to walk back to Shiganshina.
Oh, and also, bro, the thing that I didn't know is that isn't the first scene of that dream and everything. Also, no, bro, when I was doing some like research and stuff like that to like figure what the hell is going on, can somebody please tell me why that that scene of where I guess it was supposed to be a it was supposed to be in the actual ending of the show. You know, the mist where I believe the theory is like it was like in the mist where, what was it, Armin killed everybody, and that would have been the end of the show. Why was that in the beginning? Like, why was that scene? Why was that in his dream in the beginning? Do y'all remember that? It was in there. Did the creator just wanted to put it in there just to like have that in there? Because I remember seeing that, and we never got that scene until like I saw it somewhere else while I was doing my research. I ain't gonna lie to you, this is like right after, not right after I finished the movie. It's just like, bro, I was been doing a lot. I was like, oh, what the hell is going on?
During the trip back, Eren tells Mikasa that he wants to join the scouts, but stresses that he doesn't want his parents to know. When they arrive back, Mikasa snitches on Eren, and Carla immediately tries to convince him not to join them.
And also, if it's also messing with me, because wasn't the founder pretty much looking at Eren through Mikasa's eyes? Because remember in the end where she like confronted the founder and was like, it was you, wasn't it? Like, was her snitching literally trying to push the story forward and try to like I guess push the future that Eren was going to inevitably see. Like, you know how like because like Eren, what was it? Eren like knows the past, present, and future at the same time or some shit. So who's to say who's to say that the founder was literally guiding this thing to already happen? That's what I'm saying. It's the founder's fault. What the fuck?
Grisha, on the other hand, understands Eren's curiosity and says to him that he'll show him what he's been hiding in the basement this whole time. After another unsuccessful scouting mission, Keith Shadis passed his title of commander over to Erwin Smith. During this, the warrior unit had arrived on the island, losing Marcel to a titan that was buried underground for many years. Reiner insists that they continue the mission, and they proceed to break down both Shigan Sheena's wall and Wall Maria. This would lead to the death of Eren's mother at the hands of Dinah Fritz's titan. A small percentage of the people of Shigan.
Okay, so I guess I gotta watch an Easter egg version of this shit. Cause this is y'all already know it's hella spoilers here. So
Sheena were then evacuated to Wall Rose via boat. Later that evening, Grisha arrives at the Reese Chapel and begs for them to do something about the Titan.
I was about to say, why did he just use the future Eren watching this shit?
Of course, they refuse as a result of the vow-renouncing war. When Grisha was about to attack them, he realized that he just couldn't do it.
Right.
Future Eren then pops up with Zeke and tells Grisha to stop being a bitch and reminds him that he was the one who started this story. Grisha then transforms and to attack them, he realized that he just couldn't do it. Future Eren then pops up with Zeke and tells Grisha to stop being a bitch and reminds him that he was the one who started this story.
Which is crazy as hell, because we just gonna go to future Eren. I mean, it's the complete timeline, but like, bro, like, oh my gosh.
Grisha then transforms and takes the founding titan. He later breaks down and is reunited with Zeke through Eren's memories. He explains to Zeke that from now on, Eren is going to get exactly what he wants, and says to him that he must stop Eren.
But that doesn't make sense. How is Eren? So that's what I'm saying. I don't think Eren really wanted that. I think he was dead ass corrupted. Like in what I honestly think is that I believe Eren is a selfish person. Like, it was shown since he was a kid. He's like hard-headed and everything. But like, there was honestly no this time loop thing is like messing with my head, because if we're going off of I think this is the founder's will, and like she just made Eren the scapegoat for all of this. Like, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, how is he able to snap into his memories and then remember everything, and then remember that he started this, and then die, and then come back and complete the cycle over and over and over again, like he said when he was in with Armin? If that's the case, he's not. No, this is not what he wants. It doesn't feel like this is what he wants. Like, you can't just tell me like, oh, this is what he wanted this whole time. So did Eren create the founder? Like, that? No, that doesn't make sense. This is the founder's will. I will stand on this ledge until like try to wrap my head around it more. I've been tripping for the last I don't know how long. Because how the hell he said he's a slave to freedom, right? Eren said he's a slave to freedom. If Eren is a slave to freedom, that means this isn't his will. He's a slave to something. He probably will never be free. And I guess that was the point of the whole show. This isn't his fault. He's cursed by a timeline that was put onto him. And I'm not going to lie, I'm thinking about that more after finding out that the founder was looking through Mikasa's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Grisha proceeds to head back to Wall Rose and meets back up with Eren, who tells him about what happened to Carla. After hearing this, Grisha takes Eren into the forest and has him inherit the attack and founding titans. Eren is found unconscious with the basement key around his neck by Keith Shadis, and is brought back to where they originally were. Overpopulation quickly became an issue within Wall Rose, quickly causing a food shortage, and so a mission was declared in an attempt to retake some of the lost land. However, this was essentially just a suicide mission. A year later, Eren Eren, Mikasa, and Armin join the training corps. In order to progress through the program, you have to pass the ODM training. Keith Shadis attempted to sabotage Eren's equipment in order to protect him. However, Eren manages to complete it despite his faulty gear.
Because he is a slave to this story. He was literally like, no. Like, I saw some things on like the internet. People were saying, "Oh, Eren was right. Team Eren, da 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 da." Brother, no, he wasn't. Also, I don't believe this was his will. Like this, what?
One day during training in a snowstorm, Ymir turns into a Titan and saves Daz. Krista Lenz eventually makes it back, and the two become very close. 5 years after the first Titan attack, the scouts are positioned atop the wall in Trost, when suddenly the colossal Titan appears and breaks the wall. The scouts then desperately tried to kill all the Titans that broke in to minimize damage.
So pretty much Barbacoa came over again, just to, I guess, to just like check on him and like break the wall down a little bit. Because if that's the case, why the fuck did Barbacoa? Why did he come back? Like, why did he come back? You know, like it, huh? He was he had to have looked at was just checking in on him or something.
During this battle, Eren gets eaten, but then finds out that he has the ability to turn into a Titan. Commander Pixies arrives and asks Eren if he can seal the wall by blocking it with a massive boulder. Eren was successful in doing this, and so marked Paradee's first victory against the Titans in history. He was then imprisoned until taken to trial in order to discuss his fate. Eren is placed within custody of the scouts under the premise that Levi Ackerman keeps his eye on him at all times. One night, Eren asks,
"Did Levi know he was like a Titan this whole time?" Well, sorry, he did. Yeah, he did know he was a Titan. The fact that he knew and he didn't give a damn and just started kicking the fuck out of him is actually pretty crazy. And also, I'm still trying to figure out I forgot, when did Mikasa and Levi find out that they're literally like relatives?
Hanji to explain her experiments. This conversation would go on to last the whole night.
Hanji's a real nigga, man.
Find out that the two captive Titans had been killed. Erwin poses the question to Eren, who do you think the enemy is, implying that it may not just be Titans that they are fighting against.
I think right here, in hindsight, because I remember when somebody said, "Who's the real enemy?" and what Piek pointed to Eren, like what, seasons later. So I'm trying to understand, like, what did he really mean right here? Was he literally trying to, because Erwin knows and was taught by his dad. Does Eren not know that Eren is the actual
The scouts then set off on their first mission with the objective of reclaiming Maria. However, Erwin had a hidden goal. He wanted to bait out the culprit who killed the two test Titans and capture them. With the suspicion that they also probably had Titan powers, he asks investors for money so that he can afford the necessary equipment in order to trap the Titan. According to Erwin's plan, the female Titan attacks. The scouts lose a very large percentage of their men, but do end up trapping it.
I feel very dumb that I did not, like, stand on my square and confirm that this was Annie. I thought it was Annie at first, and then I like backtracked because I was like, wait, there's no way. And then I found out that it was Annie. I feel so stupid. And then also when Mikasa was like, well, she does, the Attack Titan does look like Annie, and Eren started tripping. I was just like, interesting. And also, I couldn't have guessed who the Colossal Titan was. I didn't know it was Bernstein Bear, but now that you think of it, the Armored Titan did kind of look like Reiner.
The female Titan then screams, calling a bunch of Titans that come and eat it. The shifter inside just manages to sneak out during the chaos and transforms once again. The female Titan is then confronted by Levi Squad, who initially gain the edge in the battle. However, the female Titan catches them out and kills all of them.
Which is fucking
then
crazy.
Transforms, regretful about how he didn't decide to sooner. During the fight, the female Titan makes a pose that resembles Annie's fighting style.
Yeah.
Eren hesitates. The female Titan capitalizes on this and captures Eren. It is then chased down by Mikasa and Levi, who take it down and retrieve Eren. However, during this, Levi breaks his leg, taking him out of action for a while. Having returned, the scouts manage to figure out who they think the female Titan might be. Annie Leonhardt. Erwin creates a plan that forces Annie to reveal herself, and a battle breaks out within Walsina.
I ain't gonna lie to you, that was like the toughest ending to what was it, season 1, I believe.
After a long fight, Annie is eventually taken down, but begins to fuse herself with Eren. Eren breaks out, but Annie manages to encase herself in Titan hardening, meaning that they were unable to get any information out of her.
Which is
However,
crazy.
with the female Titan now in captivity, the scouts just managed to survive being disbanded by the skin of their teeth. They also learned that there are giant Titans within the walls. Whilst this was going on, the Beast Titan and the Cart Titan began their attack, transforming the people of Ragako Village into Titans. As there were Titans inside Wall Rose, the scouts set out in an attempt to find where the breach was. However, to their surprise, there wasn't one. They then take refuge in the castle ruins. However, shortly after, Zeke and his Titans arrive. After taking down the first wave, a larger second wave of Titans attacks, and all hope of survival seems completely lost. As a last-ditch effort, Ymir reveals her identity as a Titan, managing to give them more time. After a while, she gets overwhelmed and the Titans begin eating her. With Ymir on the brink of death, the scouts arrive just in time and save everyone. Krista then reveals that her real name is Historia Reese, and all of the scouts head back home. On their way back, Reiner confesses to Eren that he is the Armored Titan and Berthold is the Colossal. And
That was actually a funny ass episode because Mikasa heard them. That's what, like, I knew Mikasa heard them, but she was just standing there. And also, like, if that's the case, and she was just like standing there not doing anything, who's to say the founder was not keeping her still after hearing this? This is probably a terrible theory. I mean, I'm sure there's hella theories in Attack on Titan. And I'm sure y'all gonna tell me I'm wrong, but like, if Ymir was looking through me, like, I just can't, I just can't get over that. Because who's to say Ymir wasn't looking at Eren through all this stuff? Like, oh my gosh. Because, like, they have to have, like, a window through somebody's eyes to see if everything is going to plan.
Tells him that they don't have to fight anymore if Eren just went with them. Eren said, nah bro, and then transformed. The fight goes on for a while, but ultimately Reiner and Berthold escape with Eren and Ymir. While this is going on, the scouts sit idly on top of the wall, waiting for the horse lifts to take the horses to the other side of the wall. They use this time to come up with a plan to get them back. The scouts eventually catch up to them, but realize they can't actually do that much as Eren is being protected by the Armored Titan. It was then Erwin led a large horde of Titans towards them from the opposite direction, forcing Reiner to have to give Eren up. Erwin then makes the call to retreat, but Reiner begins throwing Titans at them. Dinah Fritz's Titan returns and Hannes tries to avenge Carla. Unfortunately, he fails and ultimately gets eaten. Eren then punches Dinah as she reaches towards him, which then activates the founding Titan's power as she is a Titan of royal blood. The scouts escape back to the walls and discover that the true origin of Titans is most likely humans. The government then finds out about their findings and decides that they probably know a bit too much. They decide to go after them and capture Eren and Historia. Erwin and Pixie's plot to overthrow the government after discovering that the current king is a fraud and the true royal family is Reese.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's one hell of a random. That was a big jump. That Erwin ain't got no hand. He over tried to overthrow the government. Man, what the hell?
They plan to bring down both the fraudulent Fritz family and the Reese family and replace them with Historia as the ruler of the walls. The scouts then figure out that they're trying to get Historia to eat Eren to retrieve the founding Titan. But this fails as Historia makes the decision to batter her father Rod Reese and save Eren instead.
So,
while that was happening, Kenny's squad was watching guard. The scouts break in and defeat them, leaving no survivors bar Kenny. Erwin's coup d'etat is successful and the government gets overthrown. Rod Reese ingests the Titan serum and turns into a fucking massive ass Titan. It makes its way towards Orvard district while dragging its face along the ground. Erwin gambles on the fact that the Titan should have no face as it had been dragging itself along the floor. He plans to have Eren stuff its mouth with gunpowder. Levi tells Historia that once this is all over, she needs to become queen as she is the only one true to the throne. Rod Reese eventually arrives at the wall and Erwin's hunch is correct. Eren throws in the gunpowder and Rod Reese goes boom. Historia manages to get the killing blow on his nape and soon after she becomes the queen. Levi finds Kenny who gives him a Titan injection to use when needed. The scouts then have a couple days to rest and begin to prepare to retake Wall Maria. The main crew head over to see Keith Shadis as Eren wants to find out more about his father. The next day they set out for Sheena and Sheena. When they arrive, Eren transforms and seals the hole in the outer wall. Although it almost seemed too easy and Armin began to become suspicious. He shoots a flare and commands the scouts to search inside the walls as there may be someone hiding inside.
So, ooh.
Seals the hole in the outer wall. Although it almost seemed too easy and Armin began to become suspicious.
I didn't notice this. I didn't notice that.
He shoots a flare and commands the scouts to search inside the walls as there may be someone hiding inside them. And rightly so, they find Reiner hidden
That was
away.
tough.
Levi jumps down and tries to kill him, but he manages to survive. The Beast Titan and a whole bunch of other Titans appear, and the situation begins to look a bit more dire. The scouts begin to confront the armored Titan using their new Thunder Spears that were developed using technology hidden by the
Thunder
government,
Spears.
which make quick work of him. As a last-ditch effort, Reiner screams out, signaling to Berthold to enter. The Beast
No, I was saying, didn't he like change his at the last second he like moved his consciousness to his ass or something like that?
Titan throws him towards the walls where he transforms and destroys half of the district. While Armin was planning to sacrifice himself in order to take Berthold down, Erwin was planning on how they could take down the Beast Titan. He then leads a bunch of the new recruits in a suicide charge towards Zeke.
Damn, bro, you ain't gonna talk about the speech? You ain't gonna talk about the speech, man?
They all get shredded by rocks that Zeke was throwing. However, this bought just enough time for Levi to make his way along the line of Titans, and he manages to take him down.
He should have killed him. He over here talking and shit. He should have killed him then.
Fortunately, the Cart Titan rescues Zeke right before Levi could finish him off. Armin's plan works and Eren manages to slice the Colossal Titan's nape. Armin, now on the brink of death, is just about barely breathing when Flock, one of the recruits from the charge, arrives with a wounded Erwin strapped to his back.
It's also crazy how Flock was like radicalized after Erwin's speech. That's really crazy. I did not like Flock because he was throwing me off. And then he just became like a bloodthirsty Jaeger. It's like, oh my gosh.
The Cart Titan flees with Zeke and Reiner back to Marley, resulting in the scouts reclaiming Wall Maria successfully. Levi is then forced to choose between Armin or Erwin to use the Titan Serum on. He initially moves towards Erwin, causing Eren and Mikasa to attack him. However, ultimately he chooses Armin. Armin then eats Berthold and becomes the Colossus.
Well, didn't Erwin slap his hand out the way? Did he really choose? Like, didn't Erwin literally just do this?
Titan. They then head into Eren's basement and discover that humanity hasn't actually perished outside of the walls.
Right.
Eren and Mikasa are then chucked into prison for attacking Levi, but are let out soon after, as it didn't really make much sense for the heroes who reclaim Wall Maria to be in a prison cell. The scouts are given medals of honor by Historia, but as Eren goes to kiss Historia's hand, he sees the future and this changes him forever.
Okay, so boom, there we go, boom.
As a result of Marley losing both the Colossal and female Titan.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is, all right, boom. He sees after that he sees the future and stuff like that. So if Eren is behind all of this, what's kind of like boggling my mind is that if this is a loop, that means he is going to pretty much, or you're saying like he's going to go back in time to cause Dina to eat his mom, right? If that's the case, right? And Dinah was supposed to go to Barry Sanders, but he guided her to go to his mom. So you mean to tell me he is the reason behind this loop, and he himself is going to kiss Historia's hand, then reveal himself to what he's been wanting him to do, and then Eren's gonna go back in time to start this whole thing over, and then he's gonna die like this? How please, does this make sense to everybody here? That's what I'd like to know, because it doesn't make sense to me. Because it's like, if that's the case, he just has the consciousness of the founder, which means he's a slave to whatever the founder's will is, which also means it's not Eren's fault. He's corrupted. He's literally corrupted and stuck to a story that he has to carry out. And what? Now Eren is going to be the cause of the rumbling? Just because the founder told him that that's what he wants?
The Mideast Alliance go to war with them, which ends up lasting 4 years. During this time, Paradis had managed to capture a few ships that Marley sent over.
Also, by the way, this is very far ahead of Eren when he fought the female Titan in, what was it, Strathis? Yeah, Stahis. When he said, "I'm going to kill everyone" or something like that. I caught that in the show. I ain't gonna lie. I remember that. I think that was the first time I was like, "Yo, is he corrupted or something? There's something going on." Because how do you go from "I'm going to kill every Titan" to "I'm gonna crush everything"? Like, that's not normal, dude.
Then meet Yelena and Onyankopon, who are devout followers of Zeke. They find out that this was all part of a plan that Zeke had in mind that would need Paradis' cooperation. The scouts eventually agree and therefore are given new technology and knowledge by the volunteers. During this 4-year period, the scouts travel over to Marley in an attempt to find out if there was any way they could make peace with the nation.
And in this moment, Eren is literally planning to cause the rumbling.
At this point, Paradis were fully aware of the capabilities of the rumbling, but were hesitant to unleash such destruction to the world. They came to the conclusion that peace was not going to be something they could reach. During their time there, Eren meets Ramsey and apologizes to him for what he's about to do. Mikasa stumbles along and almost confesses her love for him, but ultimately decides not to. The next day, Eren decides that it's time he starts taking things into his own hands and leaves the scouts. He infiltrates the Marleyan military.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, Eren got to it. He really got to it. This is actually insane.
At this point, Eren was completely different now, too. All of his fiery passion from when he was younger was now completely extinguished. He meets up with Zeke and they devise a plan that goes against the scouts' plan, but apparently it would save Eldia. This was Zeke's euthanization plan. Marley win the war against the Mideast Alliance and are now planning on ways they can get back to Paradis and take the founding Titan once and for all. Willie Tybur arrives in Marley and they decide to declare war on Paradis. Unfortunately for them, the scouts were already 2 steps ahead of them, with Eren transforming under the stage and destroying all of Marley's high-ranking individuals. The Warhammer Titan shows up, but bro didn't realize Bluetooth was a thing and got unplugged. Unable to break the Titan hardening with his jaws, Eren needed to find a way to take the Warhammer's power. Armin transforms in the Marleyan docks, decimating the entire area.
This was one hell of a this was insane. Wow.
Ensuring that once the scouts leave Marley, there would be no chance of an immediate retaliation. Suddenly, the Jaw Titan attacks Eren, but the attack gets blocked by the Warhammer's crystal.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, it's kind of fucked up. Eren ain't get that ODM gear, bro. He ain't get the
Eren realizes that he can actually use the Jaw Titan to crack open the crystal, resulting in him eventually taking the Warhammer's power. Zeke gets sneak attacked by Levi and is taken up to Paradis' airship. The scouts then retreat, but Gabi and Falco, 2 Eldians who are warrior candidates for one of the 9, manage to get onto the airship. Gabi kills Sasha and instantly becomes the most hated character in Attack on Titan. The scouts arrive back in Paradis, however, Eren and Zeke are imprisoned in different areas so that they can't come into contact. After a while, Eren eventually escapes his cell and meets up with Flock and the Jaegerists on the top of the hill. Their goal to reunite Eren with Zeke and start the rumbling. However, during those few days, Marley decided that although they had no ships, they didn't really have any other choice than to attack as soon as possible, so they headed over to Paradis. It then comes to light that the wine Zeke had been handing out to the people of Paradis was laced with his spinal fluid, meaning that he could scream and turn everyone into a Titan whenever he wanted to. This allowed the Jaegerists to take control and they imprisoned all of the scouts. Eren bumps into Peak, who decides that she's gonna tell Eren where her comrades are. Obviously, Eren sees through this, but agrees to hear her out. Galliard then breaks through the ground and tries to eat Eren, but misses. Eren then transforms as Reiner and the rest of the Marleyan military arrive in Paradis. As all this was happening, Zeke screams in the forest where he was being kept.
That pissed me off so bad, bro. That pissed me off so much.
And all of the scouts there were turned into Titans. He then tries to escape during the chaos, but Levi does not let him and destroys him once again. When being transported, Zeke blows himself and Levi up and manages to escape inside a pure Titan's stomach. He's then taken to Eren's location and their goal is to make contact. The scouts manage to get out of prison and realize that they have to do everything in their power to stop Eren and Zeke from touching. However, after some fighting, they eventually do end up making contact and are both sent into the paths.
And now this is the part. All right, actually no, we're gonna get to the part.
Eren betrays Zeke and reveals that he never wanted to do the euthanization plan from the beginning. He then starts the rumbling. Understandably, the scouts were really confused.
Okay, so at the part where Aaron came into contact with the founder, right? When Zeke or whoever caught his head and the little spine thing did that. That is where I'm like, how can how can this be all of Aaron's doing if he literally has gotten stopped like for good? Because Gabby shot his head off. So I'm assuming like that was Aaron that shot that hallucinogenia to his head. That's what you telling me? Aaron knew he was about to get his head blown off, and then the hallucinogenia was going to save him. So he knew Gabby was going to shoot his block off. That's what you're telling me. But then again, remember when Zeke told Aaron, like, when Ymir walks forward, she just walks forward. She can't change unless she wants to. Again, who's to say this isn't Ymir's plan? Who's to say this whole thing was not Ymir's plan? And I'm slowly trying to confirm that in my mind because there still kind of is no, I don't have any reason to believe that Aaron's plan to kill all Titans changed like that just because he kissed Historia's hand. Oh. And the thing about him being a slave to freedom, who's to say freedom isn't just, that's just death? Like, he's a slave to completing this plan so he can die, so he can do this again?
Couldn't understand why Eren was doing what he was doing. Annie was now awake too, as when Eren undid all of the Titan hardening, her crystal was undone too. They then join up with the remaining warriors and head over to the port where the flying boat is. Without this, they would never be able to catch up to Eren in the rumbling, and the whole world would be doomed. The Jaegerists desperately tried to stop them, however they fail, leading to the deaths of many of them, including Flock Forster. As the plane is being refueled, the rumbling catches up to them, and Hanji realizes that she has to sacrifice herself in order to buy them enough time to fly away. In due course, they catch up to Eren, beginning their attempt to stop him. At first, they tried to talk to him in paths, but Eren said, "Nah bro, get rumbled, stay humbled," and continued to trample the world. Everyone comes to the terrible realization that the only way that they're going to be able to stop this is by killing Eren. Titan hardening versions of all the previous shifters appear to defend Eren, and Armin is kidnapped by one of them and is sent to the paths where he meets Zeke, who at this point has very little will to live anymore. However, with a bit of talking, he comes around and shows himself in the real world.
Too bad this nigga come to knock your neck off,
Levi
boy.
swoops down and finally avenges Erwin. The rumbling stops moving, and the scouts manage to break through the hardened Titans. They first wrap explosive around Eren's neck, blowing his head off. Armin then proceeds to transform on top of Eren, completely destroying it. However, unfortunately, it was going to take more than that. Eren transforms once again and is confronted by Armin. While they're fighting, Levi and Mikasa find an opening and manage to get Mikasa inside the mouth of Eren's Titan, ultimately resulting in the death of Eren. With this, the Titan curse was lifted,
and also, quick question,
and all of the Titan powers were removed from the world.
quick question. Why didn't the hallucinogenia get at his neck again? So, and I think that's where like a paradox comes in, because remember when Zeke got beheaded just now by Levi? Eren stopped. And what I'm thinking, and of course we can talk in a thing, I'm thinking that the connection to Zeke was what pushed Eren to cause the rumbling. But when Zeke was beheaded, Eren just stopped. So who's to say that that Zeke dying didn't give Eren the little bit of free will so his friends can stop him? Because I think Aaron honestly was just like trying to be mean to them so they can like so it'll be easier so they can stop him. And he was saying like he wants to he was literally saying like, bro, he wants to stop this, but he can't. I and it's like you he also said he wanted this to happen. Like, what was it? He wanted to crush 80% of humanity so the 20%, if they wanted to retaliate, it wouldn't be as bad. Even though in the end they literally did it. And y'all saw what happened at the end. Like I don't like it. So you're telling me that Aaron wanted this to happen so he can die, so this can so because if he saw the future, that means he could see Paradis getting blown the fuck up. Which can also tie into he didn't want to save LD, he just wanted to save his friends and people on the island so they can live good lives. And then whatever happens after that, well, fuck it, I guess. Because that's what happened. His friends, all that happened, and then everything got blown the fuck up. And then we start again with a man and his dog, a little boy and his dog. We don't even know who the little boy is.
Inside the mouth of Aaron's Titan, ultimately resulting in the death of Aaron. With this, the Titan curse was lifted, and all of the Titan powers were removed from the world. Mikasa then pulls up holding Aaron's head, and Armin runs over crying. She then returns to Paradis and buries his head under the tree where the show first began. Paradis then became known as the heroes who saved the world and began peace talks with other nations. Eventually, Armin and the others were permitted to return to the island. Over the course of the next few decades, society within the walls would develop drastically. Many people, including Mikasa, would often visit Aaron's grave to pay respect to their friend.
Oh, and also, I heard that, you know what I heard? I heard that, well, I guess I read some things like Mikasa got married to Sean and he had a kid, but that didn't happen because Mikasa never got rid of the scarf. So wouldn't that mean she's like still devoted to Aaron? Because remember the 4 years that Aaron like I guess influenced her mind to experience those 4 years. My brain.
Mikasa would eventually pass away, but humanity would continue to prosper for many years to come. However, after what could be hundreds if not thousands of years, war inevitably breaks out once again. After this war ends, a boy and his dog arrive at the same tree in which Eren was buried under. What's interesting though is that this tree now looks exactly like the tree in which Ymir got her Titan powers from at the very start of the show. And that's it. That's Attack on Titan.
Like see, the thing about this is that I need to check out an Easter egg video too, because if this is the complete timeline, all right, we got the complete timeline. I still got questions because I need to find how is nobody saying that. Who's to say that this isn't the founder wanted this? If the founder is able to make the Titans around the walls and everything to do all this, who's to say that she didn't just want this to happen? Because if you're breaking the Titan curse, you're just like pausing it. You're not like turning the whole game off. You're pausing it. If you knew this was gonna happen, that's the thing that's throwing me off. Like, is this a paradox that literally just gets stopped at a certain thing? I don't know. We need to watch more. They need to find an Easter egg video because this is crazy.